Good morning, friends. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful day. I brought another class favorite, The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. We read this book the week of Tu B'Shvat. We also read it our week of Dr. Seuss. So I wanted to come and read it to you guys again since you all loved it so much. At the far end of town where the grickle grass grows and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing except old crows in the street of the lifted Lorax. And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see today where the Lorax once stood just as long as it could before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax and why was it there? And why was it lifted and taken somewhere? From the far end of town where the grickle grass grows, the old oncer still lives here. Ask him, he knows. You won't see the onceler, don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurkim on top of his store. He lurks in his lurkim, cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of miff-muffered moof. And on special dank midnights in August he peeks out of the shutters, and sometimes he speaks and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you, perhaps, if you're willing to pay. On the end of a rope he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss in 15 cents and a nail and the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather snail. Then he pulls up the pail and makes a most careful count to see if you've paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you've paid him away in his snub, his secret strange hole in his gloverous glove. Then he grunts, I will call you by whisper my phone, for the secrets I tell you are for your ears alone. Sloop! Down slops the whisper-ma-phone to your ear, and the old onceler whispers are not very clear, since they have to come down through a snigglery hose. He sounds as if he had smallish beaks up his nose. Now I'll tell you, he says with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long time back. Way back in the days where the grass was still green and the pond was still wet and the clouds were still clean and the song of the swoomy swans rang out in space. One morning I came to this glorious place, and I first saw the trees, the truffula trees, the bright-colored tufts of the truffula trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. And under the trees I saw brown barbaloots, frisking about in their barbaloot suits as they played in the shade and ate truffula fruits. From the rippleless pond came a comforting sound, came the comforting sound of the hummingfish humming while splashing around. But those truffula trees, all my life I've been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tufts was softer than silk, and they had the sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk. I felt a great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew just what to do. I unloaded my cart. In no time at all, I built a small shop. Then I chopped down the truffula tree with one chop. With great skillful skill and with great speedy speed, I took the small tuft and I knitted a thneed. The instant I'd finished, I heard a gazump. I looked and I saw something pop out of the stump of the tree I chopped down. It was sort of a man. Describe him? It's hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mosey, and he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. Mister, he said with a sawdusty sneeze, I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues, and I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. He was very upset as he shouted and puffed, What is that thing you've made out of my truffle tuft? Look, Lorax, I said, there's no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree. I am doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. This thing is a thneed. A thneed is a fine something that all people need. It's a shirt, it's a sock, it's a glove, it's a hat. But it has other uses, yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains, or covers, for bicycle seats. The Lorax said, Sir, you are crazy with greed. There is no one on earth who would buy that fool thneed. But for the very next minute, I proved he was wrong, for just as that minute, a chap came along, and he thought that the thneed I had knitted was great. He happily bought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax, you poor silly guy. You can never tell what some people will buy. I repeat, cried the Lorax, I speak for the trees. I'm busy, I told him. Be quiet, if you please. I rushed across the room in no time at all, built a radio phone, and I put in a quick call. I called on my brothers and uncles and aunts, and I said, listen here, here's a wonderful chance for the whole Wensler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast, take the road to North Nitch. Turn left on Weehawken, sharp right at South Stitch. And in no time at all, in the factory I built, the whole Wensler family was working full tilt. We were all knitting thneeds, just as busy as bees, to the sound of chopping of truffle trees. Then, oh baby, oh, how my business did grow. Now chopping one tree at a time was too slow. So I quickly invented my super axe hacker, which whacked off 4 truffles at one smacker. We were making thieves 4 times as fast as before, and the Lorax, he didn't show up anymore. But the very next week, he knocked on my new office door. He snapped, I'm the Lorax who speaks for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please, but I am also in charge of the brown barbaloots, who played in the shade of their barbaloot suits and happily lived eating truffle fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffle fruit to go around, and my poor barbaloots are getting the crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies. They love living here, but I can't let them say. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys, he cried, and he sent them away. I, the Wensler, felt sad as I watched them all go. But business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies in tummies, you know. I mean no harm. I most truly did not, but I had to grow bigger, so bigger I got. I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads, I biggered my wagon, I biggered the loads of thneeds I shipped out. I was shipping them forth, to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went right on biggering, selling more thneeds, and I biggered my money, which everyone needs. Then again he came back. I was fixing some pipes when that old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes. I am the Lorax, he coughed and he whiffed. He sneezed and he snuffled. He snargled, he sniffed. Wensler, he cried with a corvaceous croak. Wensler, you're making such smogulous smoke. Poor swimmy swans, why they can't sing a note. No one can sing who has smog in his throat. And so, said the Lorax, please pardon my cough. They cannot live here, so I'm sending them off. Where will they go? I don't hopefully know. They may have to fly for a month or a year to escape the smog you've smogged up around here. What's more, snapped the Lorax as dander was up, let me say a few words about that gluppily glup. Your machine chugs on day and night without stop, making gluppily glup. Also sloppily slop. And what do you do with this leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty old Onceler man, you. You're glupping the pond where the humming fish hummed. No more can they hum, for their gills are all gummed, so I'm sending them off. Oh, their future is dreary. They'll walk on their fins and get woefully weary in search of some water that isn't so smeary. Then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax, now listen here, Dad. All you do is yap yap and say bad, 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 bad. Well, I have my rights, sir, and I'm telling you, I intend to go on just doing what I do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm figuring on biggering and biggering and biggering and biggering, turning more truffle trees into needs, which everyone needs. And at that very moment, we heard a loud whack from outside the fields that came a sickening smack of an axe on a tree. Then we heard the tree fall, the very last truffle tree of them all. No more trees, no more needs, no more work to be done. So in no time, my uncles and aunts, everyone, all waved me goodbye. They jumped in their cars and drove away under the smoke-smugging stars. Now all that was left neath the bad-smelling sky was a big empty factory, the Lorax and I. The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance, and just gave me a very sad backwards glance. As he lifted himself by the seat of his pants, I'll never forget the grim look on his face when he hoisted himself and took leave of his place, through the hole in the smog without leaving a trace. And all that the Lorax left there was this mess, this small pile of rock with one word, unless. Whatever that meant, well, I just couldn't guess. That was a long, long time ago, but each day since that day, I've sat here and worried away. Through the years while my buildings have fallen apart, I've worried about it with all of my heart. But now, says the Onceler, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So, catch, calls the Onceler. He let something fall. It's a truffle seed, the last one of all. You're in charge of the last of the truffle seeds, and the truffle trees are what everyone needs. Plant a new truffle, treat it with care. Give it clean water and feed it fresh air. Grow a forest, protect it from axes that hack. Then the Lorax and all of his friends may come back. The end. All right, friends, do you remember the message we talked about with this book? This book teaches us that we have to take care of our earth and love all the plants on it and protect them and keep the earth clean. So I hope you guys have a super fun day. I know it's going to be a rainy day today, but maybe you guys can find some fun indoor activities to do. And I will see you all later. Have a great day.